Comics are doing fantastic, is what they continue to say. That's a lie. Everybody knows it's a lie. Everybody sees the wad dog crap or bull crap that's sitting in the actual corner of the room, and it's stinking up the room, and nobody wants to actually acknowledge that it stinks in the room. Comics, American comics, they're not doing good. North American comics aren't doing well. The business is not doing well. There are people that are within it that are doing okay. But you compare this to previous decades, you compare this to previous, eras, it's not. It's on the decline. That's objectively what it has. Now, yeah, everybody that's participating in the numbers have not been as honest with themselves, right? They take, for example, dollars, even though there's inflation, even though there is value in the money is not what it was. They say that, hey, comics are doing better than they ever have, and then you go look directly at the units, and there's less units being sold. Oh, graphic novels are up, they say, and then you only see that the graphic novels are up, or rather most of them, the vast majority of them are because of manga. So they're including those in the numbers. Everybody's being disingenuous. Oh, 2 comic shops opened up. Says Dick Dixon over there at the Bleeding Asshole. Not a fan of me. No ice on him or whatever. And then there's more closing down. He'll report on that, but he doesn't report the whole thing, right? Shout out to your boy Zach. He pointed this out. He went and looked at it himself. It's like he talked about, was 3 comic book shops closed, 2 opened, or is the other way around, something like that. He named the ones that were actual comic book shops that closed, and then you saw these other 2 that were opening, and both of those weren't like guys that seemed to be prioritizing their business as a legitimate comic book shop selling newer comics. They weren't even open on Wednesdays. They were open with a flea market from like Thursday. Comic book shop, the new comics coming out Wednesday, right? And they're open like either on just the weekend because they're having to follow the schedule of the flea market. And more than likely, all that means is that they're probably selling older comics, right, as their base deal, which, that's what they're going to have to do to get by. We had a great conversation with the guys over at Kingdom of Comics out of Florida, shop recently. We got some insight. You guys should go watch that interview that I had of just, people are having to rely. It's not a thriving market when you can't rely just on, which is what comic book shops used to be able to do. Rely just on, not to say they didn't sell back issues, of course, but the primary thing, they could rely and have a thriving, decent business, primarily selling newer comics. You can't do that anymore. Why is that? Because it's not thriving like they say it is. Everybody has their blame, and this is why I wanted to report on this. You can take this. Everybody's going to take this to mean everything else, right? Amazon, I think they purchased Comixology, did they not? Or whatever. And Amazon, everybody's going to say that, well, it's the digital stuff, right? That's they had some issues with the site. And that's why it's not thriving. I remember there was once upon a time people said digital copies were ruining the industry. I told y'all that wasn't going to catch on. I told y'all. I remember, dude, it's a physical medium. Not to say that people don't read digitally. You have people that have disabilities. You have people that, depending on where they're at, they can't store comics. That's a select corner of the percentage. I don't know what it is, but it's not the vast majority of people that are buying comics are buying physical copies. That's where the money's at. Okay. Nonetheless, this thriving market, even though, to be fair, manga somehow has it figured out with some of the digital stuff. Amazon's has huge layoffs, and they are gutting Comixology. Again, everybody's going to have their reasons for why it exists. It's coming from Gizmodo. Amid a sea of mass layoffs in the tech industry, Amazon's previously announced intent to reduce its workforce with nearly 20,000 jobs. Job cuts, that is, began rolling out this week, and reports are that Comixology, the digital comic storefront Amazon purchased in 2014, is being hit hard. So Amazon did purchase it, like I said, in 2014. If it's thriving, the cuts don't exist, period. And yes, that happens in business, right? You go up, you go down, it happens. But they're on at least a downtrend, and the people that are trying to salvage the state of this industry, because they don't really, what it is that they don't want us to be right? They don't want us to be the ones that are saying, hey, this industry's in shambles, but because we talk about the content problems and all that, they don't want us to be right. So they'll like smoke and mirrors. News of major cuts at Comixology emerged on social media yesterday afternoon as program manager Scott McGovern confirmed his exit among numerous others. Anonymous staff speaking to Polygon alleged that Comixology employees who are part of Amazon's store division, the division these layoffs largely focus on, have been told that while some are being let go as of this week, more have been informed on whether they were going to be cut in the coming months later in 2023. There's a post. Jason the ArE, you have Scott there. True scope of these layoffs at Comixology is unknown, leaving its fate uncertain, especially in the wake of the highly controversial rehaul of the platform last year. And I remember that. The changes went far beyond redesigning the app and the website for the leading digital comics and storefront, and included a disastrous integration of the service more closely to Amazon's storefront, shutting down Comixology's on-site website in the process. Between mass errors, clunky navigation, title discoverability issues, and the end of a long-running creator royalties program in favor of using Amazon's ebook publishing system, Kindle Direct, Comixology spent much of the last year apologizing and attempting to fix a litany of issues and ongoing processes. And that's what everybody's going to blame it on. The deniers are going to say that, well, and again, two things can be true. Yes, they could have a bad design. They can have app issues. They can have all of that. But let's not act as if the money was pouring in, the cuts wouldn't happen or would happen, right? Because they wouldn't. You, if anything, be bringing more people on to fix your issues. Or at least that was Amazon's moves go to gut Comixology after nearly a year of customer and creative strife potentially doesn't just threaten the service's presence at the forefront of digital comic distribution, but its existence at all. I don't know what the state of Comixology is going to be. I don't think that's where a lot of the money's made, but there's a lot of creatives who think, definitely independent guys, that's their route. They go maybe Comixology, trying to get a cut, using it as a storefront. Yada, do whatever you want. It's your business. But what I am saying is this. A market that is thriving does not have these issues. And it's not like we don't have other examples of failures. We know what's happened with IDW stock. We see the unit. We saw the 2021 unit sales. I broke them down myself. They can sit up here and brag and high side, talk about comics are up X amount of percent. They can lie their face off. But the unit sales say how many people are interested in it. And despite you having a growing number of titles, your unit sales are down. You go through the top 50s, the top 100 of the reported numbers, and even then, you see that the unit sales are down. And now we had a year that was as funky as it's ever been. Because now, it's not like Penguin Random House is being public with their numbers. I wonder why. In terms of distribution, the publishing company certainly ain't telling you, right? Used to be Diamonds had a little reports. They'd go get them this way. They'd make them to say public. That is no more. Everybody's withholding information. Yeah, the industry is so thriving that nobody actually knows what sales are sales. Nobody knows what the actual numbers are. They have to try to go about these roundabout ways, right? Participating stores, how many they sell, the MPD book scans, all of that. Because they're not telling. At least I told you. Riververse told you. Hey, you can go to the website right now. You can go to riververse.com right now. You can see during that campaign how much of each thing we sold. It's right there. It's public. It's right there for you. They ain't doing that. Marvel ain't doing that. DC ain't doing that. Dark Horse, Image, none of them cats is doing that. Boom. Why? I don't know. Why you think? If it's so thriving, why do you think that they're withholding the information? That they did in the past. At least Diamond didn't. I know Diamond kind of broke up, but you got two of them at minimum ain't even holding. Now Diamond's entered in that where they're withholding information. Such a thriving industry, ain't it? Aftershock goes into bankruptcy. Our own Cliff Richards was impacted by that because he hadn't gotten paid. Everything's thriving, huh? It's a lie. It's not. And the problem does not get fixed unless we sit up here and acknowledge it and do something about it. Let's take the politics off to the side just for a second. Let's just look at the reality, the economic reality. You are lying to yourself if you say that comic books in today's age are thriving. That is simply not true. There are individual successes here and there, but as far as the industry at large, it is on the decline. The Japanese are kicking your ass in your own industry, in your own area. And it's gotten so bad that you're trying to take credit for it. Comics are booming. The comics are absolutely booming, they say. Wherever you're viewing the content, I appreciate you. If you enjoyed it, you may be interested in my comic book company, Rippaverse Comics. Our first book and campaign, ISOM #1, brought in $3.7 million with tens of thousands of satisfied customers. Visit Rippaverse.com to check out our store and stay up to date with the latest campaigns from one of the hottest new comic book companies. Also, my first big step towards a parallel economy was the development of my personal website, EricDJuly.com. This entirely replaced my Patreon. Now, if you enjoy this content, please consider becoming a member over at the website. We have an ever-expanding list of perks for various membership tiers, a forum, and a phone app. Some of these perks will even benefit you if you're fans of the Rippaverse. Anyway, I appreciate you so much for being a supporter and or customer. I even got a little love for my haters.